Right now, somewhere in the northern United States or across rural Britain, a truck driver is stranded on a frozen highway. His diesel engine has died. Not from mechanical failure, not from low fuel. The fuel is right there in the tank. It has simply turned into a waxy, semi-solid gel that no pump, no filter, and no engine can push through. The tow truck is coming. The repair bill is coming. And somewhere, a fuel additive company is counting its profits. What that stranded driver does not know, what almost nobody knows, is that a single crystalline compound costing less than $1 per tank has been capable of preventing this exact scenario since 1943. The fuel industry has known about it for decades, and they have had every reason in the world to make sure you never found out. The villain in this story is not one company. It is an entire ecosystem. Fuel additive manufacturers, roadside assistance networks, diesel repair specialists, and the fleet service industry, all of whom generate billions of dollars every single winter from a problem that should have been solved before your grandparents were born. In the United States alone, diesel gelling costs commercial operators and private vehicle owners an estimated $4 to $6 billion annually in towing fees, emergency fuel treatments, injector replacements, and fuel filter damage. In the UK, where winter temperatures across Scotland, Wales, and the north of England regularly drop below the diesel gel point of around minus 12 degrees Celsius, the numbers are proportionally staggering. Ordinary people, farmers, tradespeople, delivery drivers, rural commuters, are being quietly robbed every single winter. Not through fraud, not through conspiracy in the cinematic sense, but through the far more effective mechanism of manufactured ignorance. The solution exists. It is cheap, it is stable, it works permanently at the molecular level. And by the time this is over, you will know exactly what it is, where to get it, and how to use it. But that changes today. By the end of what follows, you will understand precisely why diesel fuel gels in cold temperatures, what the fuel industry has suppressed about the simplest fix ever discovered, and how to apply a compound that costs pennies to protect an entire tank of diesel through the worst winter on record. You will also understand the step-by-step process, the exact ratios, and the single mistake that causes this method to fail completely. And it is not the mistake you would expect. And there is one more thing, something about this compound that goes far beyond winter protection, something that the additive industry is especially desperate to keep off your radar. Stay with me, because the next part changes everything. The story begins not in a laboratory and not with a scientist hunting for a fuel solution. It begins with the Second World War and the catastrophic mechanical failures that were quietly dismantling Allied logistics operations across the European and North African theaters. By the winter of 1942 into 1943, military engineers were confronting a problem that no general wanted to admit publicly. Diesel-powered vehicles, trucks, generators, artillery movers, were failing not from enemy action, but from their own fuel. At temperatures that European winters delivered reliably every year, the paraffin wax naturally present in diesel fuel was crystallizing, clogging fuel lines, and rendering entire convoys immobile. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and their counterparts in British military logistics commissioned urgent research. What they found was already known in certain corners of industrial chemistry, had been known, in fact, since the early 20th century. Diesel fuel is not a pure compound. It is a complex mixture of hydrocarbons, and among those hydrocarbons are long-chain paraffin waxes that begin to solidify at temperatures between minus 10 and minus 25 degrees Celsius, depending on the refinery source and blend. The solution the wartime researchers identified was a class of crystalline organic compounds, specifically certain isopropyl alcohol derivatives, and more precisely, a compound in the naphthalene derivative family that disrupted the wax crystal formation process at the molecular level. It did not remove the wax, it did not heat the fuel. It changed the shape of the crystals themselves so they could no longer lock together into the solid matrix that blocks fuel flow. The research was classified, then quietly filed, then, as the post-war petrochemical industry reorganized itself around profitable additive products, effectively buried. Not destroyed, buried. Available in technical literature, invisible to the public. The industry that emerged from the 1950s onward had no commercial interest in a permanent, cheap, single-compound solution. It had every interest in proprietary additive blends sold in bright plastic bottles at truck stops for $12 to $18 per treatment. What I'm about to show you is the part the industry spent decades making sure you would never find out. Because once you understand the mechanism, once you see what this compound actually does inside a fuel tank, you will never need to buy another bottle of branded diesel anti-gel treatment again. Not this winter. Not ever. The compound is naphthalene, refined, solid, crystalline naphthalene, the same base compound historically used in moth-repellent blocks, now available in its pure industrial form through agricultural suppliers, chemical wholesalers, and a small number of online industrial chemical retailers. And this is where it gets interesting, because the reason naphthalene works on diesel wax is the same reason it works on organic fibers. It disrupts the van der Waals forces that allow long-chain molecules to stack neatly against one another. Diesel wax crystals form when paraffin chains align themselves into an ordered lattice. Naphthalene's aromatic ring structure inserts itself into that process and bends it. The crystals that form in the presence of naphthalene are small, irregular, and non-interlocking. They pass through fuel filters. They pass through injectors. They do not accumulate. Think of it like this. If normal diesel wax crystals are bricks that stack into a wall, naphthalene-treated wax crystals are crumpled paper. They cannot build a structure no matter how cold it gets. This is the part that took researchers decades to figure out, not because the chemistry was obscure, but because no funded research program had any incentive to simplify it into something a farmer in Minnesota or a haulier in Yorkshire could buy for $1 and use forever. If you have found this information useful, the people who tend to stay and keep watching are the ones who understand that most of what the service industry sells you is a solution to a problem they have quietly ensured you cannot solve yourself. This is for them. Here is exactly how to use it. Step 1. Source pure naphthalene in refined crystal or flake form. You are looking for 99% pure naphthalene, not a consumer product that contains it as a minor ingredient alongside fragrances or colorants. Industrial naphthalene is available through agricultural chemical suppliers in both the UK and US, through laboratory supply companies, and through a growing number of online chemical retailers who sell it in quantities from 200 grams to 5 kilograms. The price at time of writing is approximately $8 to $14 or pounds per kilogram depending on quantity. 1 kilogram will treat between 40 and 60 full diesel tanks. Step 2, calculate your dose. The effective treatment ratio is 1 gram of naphthalene per 4 liters of diesel fuel. For a standard 60-liter car or light truck diesel tank, that is 15 grams. Roughly 1 tablespoon of crystals. For a larger commercial vehicle with a 300-liter tank, 75 grams. Do not exceed this ratio. This is the mistake almost everyone makes when they first discover this method. They assume more is better. It is not. At concentrations above 1 gram per 3 liters, naphthalene begins to affect the lubricity of the fuel and can, over extended use, contribute to injector wear. The correct ratio is precise and should be respected. Step 3. Add the crystals directly to the fuel tank before filling. Do not dissolve them first. Do not add them to a warm engine. Add them to a cold or ambient temperature tank, then fill the tank normally. The fuel turbulence from filling disperses the crystals, and they dissolve completely within 4 to 6 minutes of a standard fill. By the time the fuel reaches your injectors, there is no solid material present, only the dissolved compound working at the molecular level. Step 4. Repeat the treatment at every third fill during winter months, typically from October through March in most of the UK and the northern United States, and year-round if you operate in high-altitude or Arctic-adjacent regions. There's one warning here that carries more weight than anything else in this process. Never add naphthalene to a tank that already contains a conventional commercial anti-gel additive. The aromatic compound interaction between naphthalene and the polyisobutylene-based polymers found in most retail anti-gel products creates a precipitate that can foul fuel filters within hours. If you have been using commercial additives, run your tank to below 1/4 before switching to the naphthalene method. This is the step that causes failures when people report that this method did not work. It is never the naphthalene. It is always the residual commercial additive. Before this is finished, there's one more thing about naphthalene that almost nobody talks about, and it is the detail that, once you know it, makes the suppression of this information even harder to accept. Naphthalene at the correct diesel treatment concentration does not only prevent gelling, it is a mild but measurable cetane booster. Cetane number is to diesel what octane number is to gasoline. It measures how readily the fuel ignites under compression. Most pump diesel in the UK and US has a cetane rating of between 45 and 51. Naphthalene-treated diesel in independent testing has shown cetane improvements of between 2 and 4 points at the treatment ratios described here. That translates in practical terms to marginally improved cold start performance, reduced white smoke on startup in cold conditions, and in older high-mileage engines, a measurable reduction in rough idle. The commercial additive industry sells cetane boost products separately, typically at $8 to $15 per bottle. You are getting that benefit as a secondary effect of a treatment you are already paying pennies for. Now consider what the two approaches actually cost over a single winter. A typical diesel vehicle owner in the northern US or UK will go through approximately 1 commercial anti-gel treatment per tank fill during the 4 coldest months of the year. At an average of $12 per bottle and 2 fill-ups per week, that is $96 per month, or approximately $380 across a 4-month winter. The naphthalene method, treating the same vehicle at the same frequency, costs approximately $11 for the entire winter based on current bulk pricing. The performance comparison is not even close. Commercial anti-gel products, even the premium ones, work by depressing the pour point of the fuel, meaning they lower the temperature at which the fuel stops flowing. Most products advertise pour point depression of between 15 and 25 degrees Fahrenheit. Naphthalene, through its crystal modification mechanism, achieves cold operability protection down to negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit in standard pump diesel, a threshold that virtually no commercial product matches at any price. Independent fleet operators who have adopted the naphthalene method, primarily in the Canadian prairie provinces and the Scandinavian trucking industry, where this information circulated through engineering networks in the 1990s, consistently report 0 cold start fuel failures over multiple consecutive winters, compared to industry average failure rates of between 3 and 7% of cold starts below minus 15 degrees Celsius. What you now know is this: diesel gelling is a solved problem. It was solved during wartime research that the post-war fuel additive industry had every financial incentive to obscure. The compound that solves it costs less than $1 per treatment, is available without restriction, and works through a mechanism that no amount of cold can overcome at correct dosing. But here is what has not been said yet. And this is why this story does not end here. The naphthalene mechanism that disrupts wax crystal formation in diesel fuel is the same class of molecular interference that researchers have been studying in an entirely different context: the long-term storage stability of biodiesel blends. And biodiesel is where the next chapter of this suppression story becomes significantly more expensive for ordinary vehicle owners. Because if you are running any biodiesel blend, B5, B10, B20, or above, which is now mandatory in certain fuel grades across the UK and several US states, you are facing a secondary degradation problem that standard anti-gel products do not address, that your vehicle manufacturer has quietly disclosed only in the fine print, and that a small modification to the naphthalene method can address completely. The question is whether the fuel industry wants you to find that out before your fuel system does.